I've been hearing that Southern Star Paragon is a Weller killer. Let's find out. When I set up tastings for Chris, I like to do a double blind. That way I can remove all bias and I can get his true thoughts. But this time he wanted to do a tasting with Weller 107 and Southern Star Distilling. So it's not a double blind, but it is a blind tasting because I switched them up around for him and he's unaware of which one he is tasting at that moment in time. So, a few stats on the bottle is we have Southern Star Paragon single barrel cask strength bourbon whiskey from Barrel and Fork. This one is aged 5.5 years, bottled at 108.5 proof. Then we have the Runner 107, of course, 107 proof. And this one is hand selected by Pavilion Discount Beverages. I picked this one up in Myrtle Beach a couple years ago. Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Nakia Bell, also known as the Sober Bourbon Girl. Today is going to be a blind tasting with Weller 107 and Southern Star Distilling. Please note, these are both single barrel picks. So if you decide to set up something similar at home, just know your results may vary. And palate is subjective anyway, so your results still may vary.
Most people that know me that kind of know a little bit about my palate, they know that I am partial to sweeter pours, so I always tend to lean especially hard towards some of the wheated bourbons that we have on our shelf. I'm going to dive into these. I have no idea which one is which. I know that obviously I'm drinking these two, but I don't know which one is which. Definitely smells sweet, honey, kind of nutty. Getting that oak. Let's see, initial reaction to this second one. Okay, so this one is way more subtle. Definitely doesn't jump out at you as much. Vanilla, a little bit of orange almost in there, like a citrus. Very interesting. I'm gonna go back to this first one. Yeah, this is definitely giving off a lot more of the wood, more so than this one. This is a little bit bolder. This one is more subtle. This one is bolder. Okay, palate on this first one. Wow. Extremely sweet. That peanutty flavor, it carries through on the finish of this bourbon. It's extremely sweet. Front palate, not as heavy, right, on the spice or the flavor. It catches you at the back of the middle palate, and then it just rides all the way to the finish. That's extremely good. That's very good. It's a very good whiskey. Now, full disclosure, the fact that I started with that one could 100% alter my perception on this second one, vice versa. So I'll go back and forth between the two and just give my overall assumption or my general opinion on what I think. But if you were to try them in a different order, you might get different results. But we're going to see. For the second one. This is more of a mouthful. It lingers a lot longer than this first one. It's creamier, almost like an oily kind of profile to it. This one right here, man, and it's chocolate, like more of a, not more of a dark chocolate actually, kind of like a dark chocolate, but it's extremely creamy. Wow. I can honestly say, out of all of the tastings that I've ever done, this might be the hardest to call. That's full transparency. I'm gonna go over it one more time. I'm telling y'all, these are neck and neck, because it just depends on what you're looking for. The palate on both of them, they're different, but they're very similar. That sweetness hits you, but the second one is a little bit more well-rounded. But the first one, it's subtle on the beginning, in the beginning, and then it just kind of it figures itself out towards the mid, and it is solid all the way through. Wow. Guys, no joke. This is probably the hardest. See, it lingers. That's what I like the most about this one. For them to be so close in proof, they're both extremely approachable, okay? But this one, just when you think the pour is finished, it like sparks at the end. There's just like a lingering spice that this one has that this one doesn't have. So overall, when I look at the finishes, it just depends on what you want. Do you want an easy sipper, or do you want something that's going to sit with you for a little bit of time? I would not be disappointed in picking any one of these whatsoever. They are that close. If I had to choose, I mean, guys, these are super close. If I had to choose, the edge would probably go to number 2. Okay? Simply because that finish is just different. This is just an easy sipper, straight through and through. But this one, while it is the same, it's kind of in that same category of an easy sipper because it's sweeter, it's, very, very approachable. It doesn't leave you lingering for that spice at the end. Thank you for tuning in on this one, and we will definitely be shooting a lot more of these. If this is something that you like, if you want to get more of my perspective on some of the stuff that Nakia picks out for me to taste, let us know. Definitely drop some comments. We're going to grow this channel. We're going to give you some realistic takes on what we think about some of this whiskey we're drinking in real time as we try it. So cheers, guys. I will see y'all in the next one with the Sober Bourbon Girl. All right, so we had to do a little cut because Nakia actually had to tell me which one of these won. So right here, guys, this is actually the Weller 107. It'll be the Weller by a slight margin, but I can see why this one gets compared to this one all day long. They're very, very similar.
Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. It's free, as always, so why not do it? And I appreciate the support. Cheers.
All right, so one thing I didn't say about the palate on this one. I now know exactly what it reminds me of. And it gives the same palate on the nose. If you've ever had those little red candies that you can get at the gas station, they're called Boston baked beans. That is exactly what this puts me in the mind frame of. It's kind of nutty, but it's also extremely sweet. And then the palate is almost candy-like. Honey, but that peanut kind of carries over, like that peanut flavor. It kind of carries over. So Boston baked beans is what that puts me in the mind of. And I love those as a kid.
These are just outtakes. These are just outtakes. I think I'm gonna start doing that at the end of the video.
Yeah, you can.
Outtakes.
A lot of lightning. Now to put them up against something like Buffalo Trace's product, the 107 Weller, it stands up to it extremely well. Like if I asked you to bring me a wheated bourbon, and I'm thinking you might bring me a 107, and you bring me a Paragon, like I'm not gonna be upset. I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, great, yeah, that's cool. It's just a little bit more subtle.
You also gotta remember too, they're both single barrels.
Correct. So next time it could be, I disclosed that. It could be completely different next time.
That Weller is from Pavilion in Myrtle Beach. Southern, I'm not sure where that single barrel is from, but each single barrel is different. It's just in this scenario that we did, you like the Weller better, which is why we do it blind, to remove the bias.
And then, like I said, Maybe if I would have tried the Weller first, um, maybe it might have had a small impact. Maybe, but no, because yeah, when I went back and forth, it's just evident. The biggest difference, I can't explain it enough. This gives off that chocolate. It's chocolate sweetness. This is honey sweetness. This is chocolate vanilla sweetness. This is honey sweetness. Man, that nose is even great. But I might have said this. You might want to check in the earlier. This has the stronger nose. I feel like I might have said the Weller had the more subtle nose in the beginning, which it does. It 100%. So that is another one, right? The Weller has a much more subtle nose than the Paragon. Much more subtle. But the spice on the Weller carries over a lot more than the Paragon. The nose on the Paragon is more prominent. The Weller 107 is just a lot more subtle. But the palate on the 107, way more spice than the Paragon. Easy sipper all the way through. Easy sipper, flavor at the end, and it just holds there. So, man, it just depends on what you're looking for, guys. I would, like I say, I've said it quite a few times. I would not be disappointed if I had either one of these that I was drinking and just trying to, have a good pour. Yeah.
Usually, when I set up blind tastings for Chris, I like to do a double blind, meaning he is unaware of anything. He's not sure of the proof, he's not sure of what bottles they are. He is going in totally blind. But for this one, we had to do it a little different because he decided that he wanted to do a blind tasting with the Weller 107 and Southern Paragon. Thank you all for tuning in. Are you surprised by the results?